Hi, this is Tom from Infinity Bricks, and this is a LEGO video for the Star Wars Mos Eisley Cantina. Now, I've been planning to build this for quite some time. I bought two versions of the most recent version of the set, which was 75052. I really loved that version, thought it was awesome, had a lot of great minifigures and some really sort of classic moments, but it did feel incomplete, in particular the cantina area. Even though it really captured it well, you have a great looking sort of bar area, you've got the area where Han and Greedo would sit. It was obviously very, very scaled down, and there was a lot of iconic elements. I loved the fact that we had the Dewback and the Sand Trooper, but it just really needed fleshing out. So with that in mind, I bought two sets, the idea being that I would just make a slightly extended version, and it's taken me quite some time to actually get the time to sit down and do it. But recently I've had a bit more time to focus on this, or I've chosen to focus on this, and hopefully produce something that looks pretty good. So this is my Mos Eisley Cantina area of Tatooine. My plan is to build more than just this. So I've got 4 of these base plates, 48 by 48, and I'm planning to build different parts of the planet Tatooine just in these different areas. So this one is purely focused on the cantina, and once I've finished the other parts, they will all sort of fit together, and hopefully you can kind of move them around a little bit and create slightly different scenes depending on which order you put these plates in. So my main focus with this set is obviously to get the cantina looking nice. I wanted to make sure that I got all the right details in there, and I also wanted to make it look very busy. So with the cantina, I've spent quite a bit of time just kind of looking at adding little bits and pieces. So I've got these kind of little mechanical elements, so like on the roof it could be like some sort of satellite dish and radar or kind of electrical equipment just sat there on the roof, and I've also got some extra architectural details just sort of built into those domes. I've seen quite a few mocks out there, some really good ones, and most of the time people tend to use the sort of sand colour for the base, but I went for the dark tan purely because I felt it added a little bit more of a contrast between the building and the floor, and it also made sense because obviously the ground's going to be kind of trodden on, there's going to be footprints, it's going to be mucky because it's kind of a lived in area, so it made more sense to sort of make that just that little bit darker, and I felt that that just gave the right level of contrast that I actually needed. The actual structure for the cantina isn't to scale. I know that if it was to scale, this would probably take up at least 2 base plates, and obviously it's quite a big size, so this is a scaled down version. It's purely down to space and obviously the costings as far as like the amount of bricks that I would need if I was going to go for a full-size build. You know, I could build a bigger cantina, but then that wouldn't leave me the room that I need for, you know, some of the other mocks that I want to do. So obviously it's about trying to factor in how much space you have. So I've made this sort of scaled version. It has everything that I think captures the scenes from the film. I've got the interior area, so you can access this by lifting off the roof. You can get into there, and you've got inside there the bar area, and again, not exactly to scale, but just kind of captures a segment of it. And you've got all these various alien characters hanging around, and obviously the scene with Han Solo and Greedo, which is very important, and obviously, as we know, Han shot first. But the overall details are there. The band's in there. I've still got to build their instruments actually. I've kind of misplaced them. I don't know where I put them, so I need to kind of relocate those and kind of give them back. But from the interior to the exterior, the idea is it's looking busy. If you're like me, you may buy lots of Star Wars sets and you get so many additional figures, so you may actually buy a set thinking that you do want a specific figure, but then you get all these other Star Wars characters bundled in that may not necessarily be of interest, or may not necessarily be something that you want to display. So from my point of view, the cantina works really well because you can put any Star Wars character in here. It's kind of a hub for the Star Wars universe, the sort of hub for the scum and villainy that may come and do some trading. So I've put in a variety of Star Wars characters which may sort of range from the original trilogy, but there's a couple in there from Rogue One and The Force Awakens, and maybe just one from the prequel trilogy. I'm not a huge fan of the prequel trilogy, but there's a couple of things in there that may give a little nod to that. So in this scene we've got the Dewback, which I think is classic. Stormtroopers are equally important. Luke's Landspeeder is fundamental to the area, and there we have Obi-Wan Kenobi currently sat in there, and there's Luke talking to Chewbacca and there's C-3PO and R2-D2. So that little area there with the dewback and the speeder just captures the original trilogy. When I bought the Encounter and Jakku set, I had in mind with adding it to the sort of Mos Eisley area in particular, and I wasn't very happy with the build. Kind of understood why they made it that way. It opens out, it's a bit more of a play set, but it didn't feel like a completed building. And obviously if I was going to have this cantina, which kind of looks more like a completed building, I needed to have something which is a bit more significant as far as a little building, and I thought having a little trading area would be quite interesting. So you've got the broken down droids, that's the battle droids, that's a prequel nod I guess, and then you've also got airship parts in there and other things and items for sale. So that was quite important for me to have that and just kind of flesh it out a little bit. So kind of propped up that canopy a little bit more and sort of built up around it just to give it a bit more of a kind of completed feel, and I'm happy generally with that as it's turned out. I think that's okay, but I think overall when you look at everything all together, I think it just works really well. Also, I've added in their raised speeder. Having another speeder around, it just made sense. I do like the overall colours as well. I think that adds a lot to the scene. So you've also got additional characters that have been sort of scattered around. You've got the Jawas who are there trying to capture the droids, and then some various characters from the Star Wars universe just kind of mingling and chatting together. And I've also got BB-8 in hiding. He's there hidden in the dome, so maybe he's hiding away from the Jawas, or maybe he's hiding away from Kylo Ren because he's got the plans, or whatever. So he kind of fitted in there really well, so I popped him up there. A couple of rats on the roof, which I'm sort of thinking could be the Womp rats, so they're kind of scattered about. Now this really isn't a play set, I've really made this just to be displayable, but there are elements of play obviously with the roof coming off, the entrance in, and you can slide out where Han is and Greedo, and you know, swap those characters over if you wanted to. So there is a few things, but it is not built really for play. Any heavy-handedness would just kind of start knocking bits and pieces over. As I get these new Star Wars characters that I'm not necessarily wanting to display, they would just kind of fill the scene even more. And there is plenty of space, so it may not look like it because it looks very busy, but I think actually over time I'll be kind of adding bits and pieces to it, and probably adding a few extra nods to the original trilogy as well. So anyway, let me know what you think in the comments below. Hopefully you like it, and thank you for subscribing and liking. Speak to you again soon.